I'm on the phone with Steve Krug, author, speaker, and principal at Advanced Common Sense with headquarters in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Good afternoon, your time, Steve, and thanks for agreeing to the interview.
Oh, sure. Good to talk to you.
Steve, you've been a web professional for a number of years. You authored a book, at least one or two that I know of. Don't Make Me Think, I think, is your most popular series with 300,000 copies in print. That's pretty phenomenal. Congratulations for that. And you have another book coming out, which really intrigued me, and this is Rocket Surgery Made Easy.
Yeah.
The Do-It-Yourself Guide to Finding and Fixing Usability Problems. That's a great title. Can you walk us through what have you learned over the years about doing it yourself usability problems, and can you share a couple walkaways from the book for web professionals?
Sure. Well, I did usability testing. I became a usability person back in around 1989 or so, and did usability tests myself, and it was part of how I made a living. And then I had a chance to write a book, the Don't Make Me Think book, about 10 years later, and realized in the act of writing that book that out of all the things I did for my clients, usability testing was the most powerful and most effective. That people just know, even if you did a mediocre job of it, if you sat people down and had them use what you're building and got them to think out loud while they were doing it, you would figure out very quickly where people were confused by what you'd built. And then you could go in and round the corners. And so when I was writing the book, I was trying to figure out what advice to give people to solve usability problems, and I realized that usability testing was it. And I also realized that usability testing, as other people in my profession had figured out, usability testing doesn't have to be that complicated, and almost anybody can do it, because that's really about all there is to it, is you grab some people, preferably people who are sort of like the people who are in your audience, and have them try using your stuff, whether it's stuff that you're currently building or your existing stuff. Give them some things to do and get them to think out loud while they're doing it, and you will, by the time you're done, half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever, you will have become obvious to you what the things were in what you've built that were going to confuse people. So having decided that this was something that anybody could do, which other people had said before me, I mean, this is new with me, I just sort of oversimplified it at this point. The Rocket Surgery book was my second book, was the how-to book. So basically anybody could pick up the book and go ahead and start doing their own user tests. It's a short book too. It's like 160 pages or something. So I tried to keep it to just the information that people needed to go ahead and do this on their own. And I also put a lot of it on my website. There's all the scripts and things that people need are there for free on my website, and a video of a demo test, sort of me showing me do the process to show you just how simple it is. So I'm very much trying to get people to just do this on their own. Not that they shouldn't hire usability professionals. There's plenty of work for them, and if you can afford to hire one, then by all means do it. But I'm trying to get as many people as possible to do this on their own on the stuff that they're building.
It sounds to me that it's pretty straightforward. And, while you were saying that, it brings me back to a speaker that I had. I invited the American Cancer Institute, who actually has a beautiful website, and spent millions of dollars on creating that website, including doing a usability study. And I remember the speaker at the session at our conference, she was talking about how they hired students to do the usability study. What I found interesting was the cancer page login that are on, but knowing your audience, having your audience actually test the site could make a difference in the world, right?
Oops, sorry about that. It can in some ways. I tend to actually downplay that somewhat. That you need to have people who are specifically right from your target audience, because, my concern is that that's yet another reason for people not to do this themselves, because sometimes if you have sometimes recruiting can be a little harder than you expect it to be, and sometimes people get discouraged and they just won't go ahead and do it. And my take here is to get people to just start doing it at all costs, because as soon as they start doing it, they will instantly realize how valuable it is, and then they'll jump through hoops. But in point of fact, if you haven't been doing usability testing before, you can test it with pretty much anybody, because the problems that are there that are your most serious problems are going to be problems that anyone will run into your site. So you really can use almost anyone, and then you get more sophisticated and home in on your target audience more as you go along. But my whole objective here is to make sure people actually, it's like the Nike, just do it. It's like, if you try this, you will understand how valuable it is, and you'll want to do more of it. That's my experience with, and all the usability professionals I know, is that people sit and watch usability tests done on their stuff, and they just get so excited because they immediately understand that they did not understand before how people use the stuff that they're building. They thought everybody out there was just like them, and when they watch somebody else use it, they realize that the people aren't like them.
How far are we in terms of that we know today? Would it say fair to say that most organizations build usability at this point? What's your take on that?
Well, it's come a long ways. Sites are more usable in general just because on the internet it's so easy to copy from other people. So best practices get adopted really quickly. 10 years ago, basically half the shopping carts you went to on the internet you would run into major trouble on. But now there are enough people who, like Amazon, who've done a great job of it, that people just go out there and they kind of see what other people are doing and adopt best practices. On the other hand, not that many organizations are doing their own usability testing, or most of them can't afford to hire somebody to do usability testing on a regular basis. And the others aren't doing it mostly because either A, they haven't been exposed to the idea that they can do it themselves, and it's really, really easy, or B, because they think it's going to take them a lot of time. And so part of what I did in the book was to try and give you kind of the most efficient, least effort process, being lazy by nature, to try and spell out the simplest, least effort process that you could do that would still get you the results you need. And it turns out it's not that much. My maxim for it is a morning a month. That's all we ask. A month, bring in 3 people and spend an hour with each one, and get as many people as you can from your organization to come to conference room and watch the tests in person, because that's very valuable. And that's about it.
First one. So we go more information. Is it on your website?
On my website, sensible.com, there's, like I say, there's all the downloads there, and there's information about I teach workshops along with Lou Rosenfeld, who kind of invented information architecture, and all that information is there. But there's a lot of there you can. What I encourage people to do is go and find the Rocket Surgery Made Easy page on sensible.com and watch the 20-minute video that shows me doing a test, and I think they'll understand right away that it's something they can do, and that they'll learn just the lessons you learn. Because if you have serious problems, then people are either getting stumped and not doing what you want them to do, or they're going away to some other site. So, glad to talk to you. Thanks. Appreciate being asked.